What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of KozMatt's Wrestling Recap. Let's get right into a pretty entertaining episode of Monday Night Raw. Raw kicking off with Riddle making his way down to the ring by himself as he cut a heartfelt promo talking about how Randy's been dealing with some physical injuries for the past few years, especially with his back, as this made it seem like WWE was going to give the Viper some much-needed time off, with Riddle vowing to get some vengeance for the RK Bros against Roman Reigns and the Usos, before we got a heartfelt RK Bro chant to bring us to commercial. Back from commercial break, we saw Riddle joined by the Street Profits to take on Sami Zayn and the Usos in a 6-man tag team match. This match taking forever to get going, as we saw a video package play over the Jumbotron, as the Usos then cut a promo and they had everybody make their entrance. It was about 20 minutes until we heard the bell ring. It was kind of ridiculous. The match finally getting started with Sami Zayn and Angelo Dawkins squaring off to start this thing with a pretty good back and forth. However, once Riddle tagged himself in, he took the brunt of the punishment, with Riddle eventually mounting a comeback, landing a flurry of offense on the heels. The match ending with the Usos abandoning Sami Zayn in a pretty comedic segment, allowing Riddle to hit an RKO to win the match for his team. I must say, if Randy's going to be taking some time off, it's going to be interesting to see what they do with Riddle on the singles run. This then brought us to a quick promo segment between Bobby Lashley, MVP, and Omos. Before this brought us to a mixed gender tag match as we saw Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest take on AJ Styles and Liv Morgan. Nothing too special with this match as we saw AJ Styles and Damian Priest kick it off as the two had a stiff exchange, with Damian Priest showing his more vicious side since joining Edge's faction Judgment Day. This match remained competitive all the way through, as we know Edge had to get involved since he was ringside, putting Rhea Ripley's foot under the rope to break up a pinfall attempt from Liv Morgan, allowing Rhea Ripley to get a pin for herself, getting the victory for Judgment Day. This then brought us to probably the worst segment of the night, as we had Jerry Lawler come out for another episode of The King's Court, welcoming his guest Veer, with the Mysterios, Rey, and Dominic eventually making their way down to the ring, saving Jerry Lawler from a beatdown from Veer, as the Mysterios did their best to take the big man down. However, Veer would just not go down after taking several drop kicks from the Mysterios. A pretty pointless segment, if you ask me, with Veer eventually leaving the ring, leaving the Mysterios and Jerry Lawler to stand tall. This then brought us to a singles match between two former friends, Alexa Bliss taking on Nikki ASH. With Doudrop in Nikki's corner, it was basically just a squash match as Alexa Bliss just dominated throughout, hitting the Twisted Bliss to pick up the victory. Talking about domination, that is exactly what we saw in the next match as we saw The Miz take on Cody Rhodes. With Cody controlling the first few minutes of the match, somewhat predictably, The Miz rallied before Seth Rollins came down to the ring, causing the match to end in a DQ as The Miz and Seth Rollins just absolutely brutalized Cody Rhodes. With Rhodes eventually limping away, walking up the ramp, this certainly got me hyped up for the match at Hell in a Cell, as I think Cody's going to make it 3-0 on Seth Rollins. This then brought us to a rematch from last week as Ezekiel took on Chad Gable once again. As just when it looked like Zeke was going to pick up the win, Kevin Owens and Otis both tried to get involved, with the ref throwing both of them out from ringside. It was actually pretty hilarious. Both Kevin Owens and Otis absolutely irate. With all the chaos going on, this allowed Ezekiel to pick up the roll-up victory over Chad Gable. With Ezekiel running into the crowd before he was attacked by all three of them, Kevin Owens grabbing a mic all pissed off, saying he doesn't care what name Ezekiel goes by, he just wants to beat his ass at Hell in a Cell. As this then brought us to our next match between MVP and Bobby Lashley, as Bobby Lashley threw down a challenge to MVP earlier in the night, saying if Bobby beat MVP tonight, he would be able to pick the match stipulation between him and Omos for Hell in a Cell. This match was not nearly as competitive as it could have been, with Bobby Lashley absolutely destroying his former manager, while Omos was just pacing back and forth ringside. This match ending in somewhat of a shit show, as Bobby Lashley and Omos were brawling ringside, allowing MVP to pick up the count-out victory. As this then brought us to our main event of the night between Asuka and Becky Lynch, as a spot in Hell in a Cell was on the line. Because if Becky Lynch won tonight's match, it would be a triple threat match at Hell in a Cell for the Raw Women's Championship, with Becky playing mind games early, trying to give the Empress a hug. However, Asuka was not falling for this as she just went for armbar after armbar. With Bianca Belair on commentary, we saw Lynch trying to win by any means necessary, with both women becoming more aggressive throughout the match, as it eventually spilled over to ringside, Becky avoiding a kick from Asuka as it hit the champ Bianca Belair square in the face, with Becky taking advantage of the misstep from Asuka, rolling her back in the ring to pick up the pinfall victory. Well, guys, that was it for an entertaining episode of Monday Night Raw. Let me know what you thought about the show. Always like, comment, subscribe. And Matthew and I will see you Saturday with a SmackDown recap. Peace out.
Come on and